In India, we've always seen that, people are more keen to play, not prep to play.
India needs about 15 to 20 centers like ours. Being such a vast country, we cannot take models of Japan or Korea or Hong Kong. And we are probably the only nation who are growing well, but sport is not catching up. In my view, we should have half a dozen centers of excellence. Are we training children to be
Prepared for those
all
challenges.
challenges?
Yeah.
So you have to give them all-round education. It cannot be just on studies alone. I think there's a necessity to come up with a sports education board where if you are playing at the national level and things like that, you have a subset of syllabus or whatever which is trimmed down to make it a lot easier for students. So I think I would want parents to look at, parents and schools also look at the overall development of a child for sure. We are a multi-dimensional being. We need the nurturing of the senses, the spirit, the development of the body and the growth of the mind. Everything have to be in harmony. So I think schools need to understand, are we doing enough for the harmony of all the aspects of the child.
So welcome to the podcast, and I think this is one of the podcasts that I've been really looking forward, because very rare you find somebody who's excelled in especially sports and picking that up and implying all those learnings, experiences towards education. And these two are fairly integrated, and I think somewhere in the race to get into good college degree, it has gotten lost, but you brought it back. So it'll be very interesting for for me and everybody who's listening to learn about the story, how a sportsman first became a sportsman, and why the shift to education, and what has been your observation that how do these two gel together, and is there a formula there that every other school should emulate?
So thank you very much, Aakash. I've also been looking forward. We've had some great conversations in the past, and I'm happy to share my thoughts, my journey into sports and then into education. So I've been a national level badminton player, so snooker player, and a state level and university level badminton player.
Okay.
And my passion was sport, not academics, not studies.
Right from the childhood.
Right from childhood.
Okay.
For the longest time, I played for fun
Uh,
till almost till 10th, 11th grade. Then I became very passionate. I wanted to excel. So I would play both snooker and badminton during my 11th and 12th, and then also in my engineering. I did electronics and communications engineering. And my goal was to get through the exams in engineering. But
just get to the other side.
And electronics and communications, you need to study also. So
Yeah,
it's not just just a breeze.
Yeah.
So I used to work very hard.
Uh,
I used to play badminton from about 4 o'clock till about 7 o'clock. 3-4 hours I would spend playing
early morning or
badminton.
late in the
Late in the evening.
late in the evening?
And then
Every
after
day,
that,
like
every
3
day,
hours.
every day. Then from about 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock in the night, I would play snooker.
Okay.
So we play at a club.
Like 6 hours dedicated to sports
Dedicated
out
to
of 24
sport.
hours.
Out of 24 hours. And people never told me I should have chosen one over the other, and then possibly would have excelled. But I love both of them. So I would go in at the, we have a club where they actually allocated one table for us for the more serious players and competitive players. So I'd play till 12 o'clock and then come back. Morning, my college used to start around 9. So wake up in the morning, and that would be my routine.
Like every single day, those 4 years.
So I lost a lot of time to practice because the semester system, You have internals, practicals, so a lot of thing was going on. In that journey, uh, I never had a coach for badminton nor for snooker.
Oh, no coach.
Nothing.
Just on your own.
Badminton I only played in the club, and I played for Usmania. Used to be one of the toughest.
Yeah.
The previous year to us was Gopi Chand, and the who's who of Indian badminton were part of that team, which was very competitive. So my just goal was just to play for the university. That's all. Nothing fancy or anything like that. Snooker, I wanted to play for nationals. If you come only 1 and 2 in Telangana, AP that time, you would be selected. So that's how I, and that was more of a destination than a journey. I didn't feel that I needed to pursue further. And me and my brothers would watch all types of sports. Anything on TV would be very passionate about all sports, not just badminton and snooker. And then from there we moved. I hardly played any snooker after that. I played badminton for more fun, exercise more than anything else. And then I started. We were into journey into manufacturing, then real estate, and then moved to education in 2011. And then my daughter started to love playing badminton. So she got interested also a little bit late, meaning not like me, but about 11 or 12 years old. And then she was playing at Gopi Chand Academy. So was my brother, and brother's daughter also was playing. So he was a state and national level swimmer, badminton.
Your brother?
My brother. My third brother was, he played world championship snooker as well. And we're all sports guys, basically. And then the journey took us to Gopi Chand Academy. I got very involved. Maybe something that was missing for me. I thought I should really push my kids to.
So you didn't have a coach, so you wanted to play that role not only for her, but
exactly.
So be part of the Gopi Chand Academy.
So for being a sportsman and watching so many sports, right, the instinct of sport will be there. So you understand tactics, you understand the importance of hard work, physical fitness,
discipline.
Yeah, all discipline, all those things. So day would start at 4 a.m. in the morning. I would be traveling with her or tournaments across India, across US, worldwide, everywhere. And she excelled quite well. She was in the top 20 in the world in the under 19. And somewhere down the line, I just felt that the philosophy, I felt that I wanted to do something which is more tailored to her. And I built badminton courts for the school. We had 7 courts, indoor courts. With no intention of starting the academy, just got this idea that why don't I get an Indonesian coach and we start a badminton academy. So then she came in along with my brother's daughter as well. We were about four or five athletes on day one. November 1st, 2016, we started, inaugurated. And and we had 7 support. We had coaches, physios, trainers, and things like that. So we thought, okay, let's do it. And soon figured that you cannot do this with just that ecosystem is not enough. You need a different set of people playing together. Sometimes you say that there's a left-hander, there's a right-hander, hard hitter, slow hitter. You need all types of players to be playing.
You have an all-round development of the sport for you, right?
So that's how we thought, okay, now we'll expand it further. So now we'll get it more. So as I was mentioning to you earlier, that we understand sports science and the game. So we really felt that the strength and conditioning that was happening, non-cricket sport, was primitive at that point, 2016.
Primitive, you'll call it primitive, like non-existent.
Non-existent. It is the exercises on the strength training were.
But why is that in India? We've always seen that people are more keen to play, not prep to play. and is because there's a paucity of time and uh, like an instant gratification of playing and winning rather than playing it the right way. I mean, is it part of our upbringing, education, society, culture? So why is it like that?
I think it's very interesting the way you put it. It is bit of all of them, and the fundamental thing was lack of knowledge and exposure, mostly.
And seriousness towards it, that this is also critical.
And we completely changed it, right? So it was all about strength training, was lifting weights, dumbbells, and that type of a
Like people would
traditional
earlier,
one.
before that, would feel that lifting weight is if you want to build the body, not for the sport, right? I mean, that was the thought process. Even
Absolutely.
for kids, I mean, you shouldn't touch weights.
Yeah, and that's a wrong notion. They, typically you can start from 11, 12 on light exercise bands, body weights, and things like that. So that sports science has, the past couple of decades has said very strongly that children need a little bit of strength training.
Right.
So we brought a lot of functional training into the system. We studied what happens in Australia, Europe, and US, and we brought that to sport. We understood what badminton needs. So we had a very good strength and conditioning trainer. So we kind of worked together on how to put that forward, and then we could see the results. My daughter was playing. Her physical ability
You could
started
see
to,
the
yeah, the
change.
growth and everything. So Sindhu, PV Sindhu, and her family have been good friends for a very long time. So he saw Ishita, my daughter, play, and he said it was very interesting. I can see a lot of improvement. Then I suggested, why not we do a body assessment of Sindhu and let us understand where she's standing. That time she had already won a silver at the Rio Olympics.
Yeah. She was already a name, right?
Already a big name.
Achiever, yeah.
And there was many exercises, many tests what we did. One or two of them she failed very badly, and they were shocked themselves.
Okay.
And the especially on the core, she was actually she was surprised that she was not there. So
And it wasn't a surprise. Nobody ever tested that.
nobody ever tested it. Nobody worked on it. So they both, I mean, obviously Sindhu is an athlete. Father has also been an Asian Games volleyball player. So they understood. Then we said, okay, let's start fitness. So then she would come. She used to drive 1 hour each way to come to Suchitra and go back. So we took her on 46 days before the World Championship 2017, which was an epic match that happened. She played for 2.5 2 hours non-stop, really shot for shot against Okuhara
Pushed
of
her
Japan.
limits on it.
And that's when they got really convinced that, okay, so
It's
much
new.
of difference we saw in this. So then the game was still going on with the National Academy, but physical fitness completely we were taking care of. From then till about a year ago, my trainer, my physio have always traveled with her throughout the world. And then because of my understanding and my brother's understanding on badminton game itself, we gave a lot of corrections, lot of issues that she was facing. We also helped correct them in Suchitra and things like that. So from then onward, she went on to win World Championship, another silver, gold, bronze, and several other another Olympic medal as well.
Yes.
So I can proudly say that we have been part of that glory. So looking at our strength and conditioning, so a lot of other athletes from different sports approached us. So the current national champion of tennis, Srivalli,
Oh, not even badminton, some other sport.
just the strength and conditioning. Yeah.
Right.
So she was national, I think India #1 on tennis. Then she is. Then we have two other Federation Cup players who are trained with us. Then we have from our school also there was a junior Wimbledon player who represented India. Then we support a whole bunch of sailors, pro bono, really underprivileged children. My friends say, helps them in sailing. They've represented India in Asia Championship, World Championship. India, picked up from Zilla Parishad schools and trained.
Wow.
And we have been up to the pandemic. We were complete strength and conditioning. We were doing. They would come to the school, the pool, aqua training, this, that, everything. We would take care, including breakfast and all. Then we created a bio bubble within our, that was the days of the of COVID. So that time they could not come. So we helped set up a gym for them.
Okay.
And there's a trainer we helped recruit, and we guide. But even now, if there's a big tournament, let's say an Asian Games or something like that, big tournament, they still come to us for a month or 2 months, and then we train. Then we trained Nikat Zarin, the boxer, world champion for two-time world champion. Her first world championship gold. That 1 year we trained her for physical fitness. And we are also training a very senior Indian cricketer, one of the top cricketers as well. So like that, we've done on multiple players. We have several national medalists, winners, and stuff like that from our school. So yeah, that has been the journey of how the professional setup happened within Suchitra. And a lot of those learnings we integrate into the school as well. So that's how the
So, what are those learnings that come? What are the lowest hanging fruits that any education system can pick up from a sports academy or the sports mindset?
so the there are several benefits to having a high performance center in the same campus. One is that studies can happen along with serious sport. You don't need to just go around. I know tennis players do tennis somewhere, physical fitness somewhere, and physiotherapy somewhere. They're
Correct, correct,
always
correct,
doing
correct.
and traveling around the world for coaching and things like that.
Is it very expensive or very difficult to set up a professional 360-degree academy for sports inside a school, or do you think that uh, people don't know how to do it? Matlab, would you want a situation where there are more such academies being set up by different schools so that let's say you're doing for strength and physical fitness, there's somebody who's doing for on the strategy, data analytics, how your game can improve, what are the data, what are the statistics. I mean, there are many aspects to sports, I mean, including the functional improvement on the sports itself. Do you think it's very expensive to do that, or you don't have resources to do that?
Okay. India needs about 15 to 20 centers like ours.
Okay.
There,
How many are there? Just
I
one?
mean, our level, you have a Gopi Chand Academy, Prakash Padukone Academy, and ours, pretty much. Then at a much lower level, you have different.
Like if you talk about the need level, there are only three.
Yeah. So, Gopi Chand Academy is a national center. So everything is funded by the government. Prakash Academy is also part national center. The government funds a bit, but I think from Infosys, something they take care of a lot of that. We don't receive any funding, and we have not sought, went after trying to get government funds or things like that. We're doing it more as a passion project. So why were we able to do it and not others? There are so many excellent coaches in India, fabulous coaches. You have some people to put together. It's not the depth of talent that can put it together. The large part of the problem is that it is expensive to do it, because as I told you earlier, we build this courts for the school, not as an investment, as a separate structure. Then I don't charge any rent, the utilities, the maintenance. Then I have a swimming pool, step training, aqua training, uphill training, sand training. Everything is grounds. Everything is already part of an ecosystem available. and somebody who's doing it should also live on it, meaning that it should be a remunerative thing for him to put his or her time. For other coaches, I'm talking about.
Correct.
So when you have uh, all these costs you put in, let's say if he has to take a rent auto, I mean rent, utilities, maintenance,
And then
swimming pools
getting these
maintenance, and
top-notch
then
coaches and
and the coaches. Coaches are very expensive. For us,
right.
we get we have a former All England champion as our head coach for singles. We have a former top 10 Malaysian guy from sorry, top 10 doubles player from Indonesia. He's been a national coach. Indian national team, he was a coach. Of other countries also, he's been a coach in the past. And then we have another Indonesian, the All England champion is from Malaysia. Along with them, we have another 10, 12 coaches. Then we have 5 trainers, 4 physios. All that costs a lot. Despite us not taking any costs,
substantial fee from the
we
users.
don't take substantial fee. So many of them we do funding 100%
Right.
free to 25, 50%. And also we don't uh, charge any rent
Hmm.
to the property owner.
Correct. Correct.
Despite that, we are at a serious negative. So it's not, that's why people don't start. It's not the death of talent, or it's not, the capability is also there. It's just that that's the
But
reason.
does that substantial negative get offset by the outcomes recognition and this becoming a center of excellence and also giving far more attraction on the students coming and joining the education system at least because they believe that the quality and the excellence is so pervasive here and they could have a significant rub off available in the academics also. So do you think that no?
No, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't match the kind of money we are spending. It's very significant, the kind of money that we are spending. But it's more the satisfaction, more the passion that we have to do at that level, and just the ability, if somebody wins a championship, if somebody hits 100 in cricket, we feel good. It's
That
something
you've
which
contributed to national glory.
exactly. So we need to.
So
I
there's no
think,
price for that for sure, but
yeah. So it's not. That is the reason why none of them are. Nobody is doing it. Otherwise, you would have seen other people also. If it is, it can help in academics and things like that. Also, be able to do.
but you've interacted with government also. Do you think government has come forward in supporting such initiatives? I mean, of course, Gopi Chand Academy is supported by government, as you just mentioned, including the Prakash Padukam Academy. Uh, so, is there enough support, push, and appreciation at the government quarters to bring such excellence? And do you think going forward you want to keep it private? You want to involve the government, so that you can institutionalize it?
I think the government needs to make more effort in recognizing centers like ours, and also pushing them a little bit more. So at the moment, we are a Khelo India center. It's they support some players, and it's very little in terms of what we spend. But that's a good initiative by the government, no
It's a
doubt.
start.
It's a start.
Mm.
But I think India being such a vast country, we cannot take models of Japan or Korea or Hong Kong and things like that. In my view, we should have half a dozen centers of excellence. So it's just that just see the past, uh, you know, 3 years or something like that. See your records in tallies, medal tally or some metric, and then support big time. Then there's a great opportunity for really. you know, blossoming as a sporting nation. Not only badminton, I think for every sport we can do. And we also have a government, then we have associations, you know, we have a slightly, you know, decentralized, you know, things of handling. That's the Olympic charter that you have to do through the associations. So that is also a lot of work has been done. Actually, the current government has done significant work, and recently I think 1.5 2 years ago, the entire Olympic Association was disbanded. New people, PT Usha heads it, lots of sportsmen coming in. So I think it's looking up, but it's not enough. You need to do at a larger scale.
You used the word sporting nation. What do you mean by that? And in your view, which country, which nation has really lived up to the uh, to the definition of being a sporting nation, and how does a sporting nation benefit a country? I mean, do you think there's a need for that?
Very interesting. If you look at the paths of development of all the nations who have taken path from underdeveloped, developed to, you know,
Fully
sorry,
developed.
underdeveloping to developed nations. If you take Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Korea, Japan, now China, everybody from where they started, their economic development and sporting success have matched.
Oh, really? So they've been parallel.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, and the economic development has followed sporting, or sporting has followed the economic
Together, they have
together?
not done more research. Very,
But you see a correlation.
there is a correlation, and we are probably the only nation who are growing well, but sport is not catching up. So for a nation our size and the kind of medals we are winning in Olympics, it doesn't. It's not a good state of affairs. We need to win.
So, is there less incentive? Like, I remember my time, I mean, I was playing cricket and, part of the school team, and I would get, completely wrapped कि भाई स्पोर्ट्स खेलोगे तो करियर नहीं बनेगा, focus on your academics, ये तो घर में खेल लेना, so I mean those were the comments that I remember from the from the family, that sports is for leisure. It cannot be a vocation. It cannot give you anything in your education journey. But you proved it all wrong, and I really intrigued to understand how have you taken that sporting culture, this being a vocation, this being a serious commitment to a career, and also leveraging the sports lessons into the education leadership. So, what are your thoughts on that? For example, in my days, I was interested in cricket, but my parents said कि ये सब ठीक है, but what about academics? Because you're not going to make your life, your livelihood, your career out of playing cricket or any sport. So that was a thought, and you've really pushed the envelope personally at your end, and also with Suchitra Academy, and also leveraging the not only this as a vocation, career, and center of excellence, but also learning from that and leveraging all that leadership skills into education. So, what has been your journey, your thoughts on this sports will never be a career?
Akash, I grew up exactly like what you said. Though we were playing, my brothers and me, we were playing at national, international level, state champions, and things like that. Never did my parents come for a practice session nor on the matches,
Actual match
tournaments,
days
actual matches as
to
well.
see and
Never,
support.
not even once. And the situation was like that at that point. There was no real career to go seek after sports. If not sports, if you don't make it in sports, what happens?
You'll become a PT teacher, they would tell me.
Yes, yes. So there was a story back then about 83 medal winner 83 Asian Games medal winner, uh, you know, riding a rickshaw for his livelihood, and that was it was shown on TV that time.
Yeah. And then
So
obviously parents would get.
that was the I mean that was the way of life. So what has dramatically changed in the last, I would say, 7 8 years? I think fundamentally careers around sport have exploded. Right. So a very senior national level coach who's trained in the national academy for India, those coaches we would pay 18 20,000 rupees, or 20, around 20, let's say, back in 2016 17, not too far. I'm talking about only 8 years ago. And the similar guy, if we have to hire today, it comes at, depending on the city, from 80,000 to 1,20,000 rupees. Just the coach itself. Similarly,
But why?
it's just dearth of talent that people are not. You don't get.
But when you say dearth of talent, that means there is demand. So demand is coming from the new gen and the new parents who want their kids to play.
Absolutely. And what has also happened is badminton, because of this popularity with Saina
And
Nehwal and PV
Saina
Sindhu,
Nehwal
what they
and
have
Sindhu.
created, and Srikanth, what they've created. So every gated community now has badminton courts. So a lot of these trained guys who are happy need not be working in an academy. They make good money just training kids at these centers at the gated community. And they spend 2 3 hours in the morning, 2 3 hours in the evening, rest of the days for themselves, and still very comfortable. Not very comfortable, they earn a lot of money. So that's also one of the reasons why we don't have enough coaches for the professionals. So that is one career. So likewise, physiotherapists are a huge shortage. Then trainers are massive shortage. Trainers, if you see lifestyle trainers, you talk about lakhs people pay per month to have a trainer. 10 years ago, 10,000 rupees was too much for a trainer, or 20,000 rupees was
Now people pay 2,000 rupees per session.
per session, and people pay even more. I mean, there's some really high end, but in general, the personal trainer concept has exploded. Who's who want personalized training? No, sorry, not who's who. Everybody wants. So it's become widespread. So as a result, their salaries have also gone up. So anything related to sport, around sport, sports nutritionists are a huge shortage. Sports psychologists are a huge shortage. And all of them have great opportunities. So if you're passionate about sport, you may pursue a sport, but you want to continue with that, you have all these allied careers. The biggest of them, the where I see a lot more potential, is all the sporting leagues. IPL, ISL, you have volleyball leagues, a whole bunch of guys
Yeah,
around.
somebody has to manage the whole show.
Exactly. So sports management as a career option has become huge. 6 of my friends, kids, have just finished or studying sports management in UK and US. 6
Wow.
of them.
6 of them.
My,
Which in your time would have
impossible.
unconceivable.
Impossible. So all of them, they're training with some interning. Slowly, a career path will be created around that. And these are, each of them are billion-dollar enterprises, right? I mean, multi-billion-dollar these days. So if you need that skill to manage that. So if you're passionate about sport, you understand sports management, and these are large enterprises, so then you have a great opportunity for every single league. And they also become very mobile, meaning the skills can be used for any league anywhere in the world. So these set of things have created a great. So if I was playing, my now, or the opportunity at that time existed, my parents would have pushed me. Me as a parent will push.
Now you
Now,
as a parent, you do.
yes, I do. I mean, I spent enormous amount of time with my daughter. She's studying very hard. Now, before she was sport, whatever she could at to some point, up to that point, I really pushed. My brother's daughter is in the same boat. She's still playing. She was pursuing her architecture. She still plays nationally and internationally. So that is a starting point for some greater excellence. What we can get.
And you see this growing, the affinity and acceptance of sports as a career. You see this growing, arithmetically, or do you see that the kind of awareness that is getting spread now and the accolades and appreciation that people, Indian sportsmen, are receiving and creating a hype around it? Or do you see a significant exponential growth, within the parents, within the students to go for these careers?
I see not an exponential growth yet. There's been a large interest levels have increased. So I envision a time when you, like in the West, if you see Europe or US, right? So high schools, middle school, high school, they have their teams, they have their
Their own
uh,
leagues and competitions
leagues,
and tournaments.
competitions. If you go for any of the, I went a few times to athletics. My nephew and niece take part. You have 400-500 people coming and looking and watching these, and they're cheering. They have teams set here. Their clothes. They're wearing the team's clothes, and it's a very it's just like how you do in an IPL match. These guys are doing there. So the conversations also end up in the living room and dining table. Oh, this guy has run so much. Did you check this guy's race out? And they were looking at statistics from across the country who's running faster. And sometimes they're looking at okay, if this guy, if I clock this guy got into Yale last year, I have a chance to get into Yale, and things like that. It comes to the dining table. And then the parents, if it comes like that, the peers, if the family is involved, right, then the competitive, then the family also is okay to invest in it. So when you have a piece of it, so then you're okay to send them to a professional, strength and conditioning, or extra support outside of school, and that same ecosystem gets translated back into college. And that is how the excellence has built in over a period of time, and then you'll continue to have that. I think somewhere we should get to that point. It's not easy because I cannot see even a single uh, tournament, inter-school tournament, which parent will want to come. It's more that I want to support, my, like a driving around.
Does marketing, internal marketing and marketing for sports also play a role in making the sports mainstream? And uh, a lot of parents don't come, of course. They don't see enough marketing, or they don't feel the FOMO that if I miss it, I'm going to miss a great match. Or I see my own kids performing. So how, why is this missing? And there is a great opportunity for schools to do this in India, and I think there is a far more larger benefit of sort of keeping the kids away from device and giving them a real time, real world opportunity to engage and build their social skills, build their physical abilities by being part of this league.
So, like I was explaining, the transition from high school to university, university wants these children. So, today, the people who are planning to go abroad are investing big time in trying to get something so that you get admission. So, but Indian universities,
They're still looking at academics.
very few, the system is not around that.
So I think that's where one of the key questions that I had for today was: does being good in sports help student in their education journey? I mean, there are a lot of studies, for and against. What has been your experience? I mean, the kids who came, who participate in your academy, and how do they do in education?
So I'll give you two examples.
Yeah.
One is of Sindhu itself.
Mhm.
One is my daughter.
Mm.
So Sindhu, when I saw what a difference it can make in you as a, you know, the brain development of the brain, right? It happened, I think maybe around 2017, very early. One of the first functions that she attended in the school, we had a, I think the municipal corporation commissioner come in, some tree plantation work
Yeah.
or something was going on. It was a function around that. So Sindhu used to come every day. So, you know, I said, you know, why don't you come? So she was there. And up to that point, she, you know, she didn't pay attention to what that function was,
Mm.
right? She said, yeah, okay, okay. Then she asked me while walking, she said, Uncle, what is this about? So I gave her one paper and I said, this is what it is. Okay, okay. And then she took it on the stage once, two times read it, kept it. Pretty much she covered the entire this one on a subject which is not close to her.
Yeah.
That's when I thought that how much focus, memory, the
Ability to grasp.
and the ability to grasp, comprehend, and concentrate in what you're doing. So, like that, I've come across multiple other incidents. So, my daughter, she used to play till about grade 11. She took a gap year after grade 10, and she has. Uh, 10th grade, 9th grade, the school allowed not to write the exams, IGCSE. We didn't write exams. 10th grade, she wanted to study 2 months before. We as parents said, no, no, 1 month is enough. You don't need to study so much. And she ended up getting 55, 60% something. 11th grade, she took a gap year and then 11th grade. End of 11th grade, she decides that, you know, this is too much for me. I can't handle this. I want to study. I want to, you know, not pursue badminton. Then we are okay. We had a conversation around it. It's fair. It's okay. Let's. So she did very well in grade 11, and only 1 month she wrote and she got 87%. And then in grade 12 she ended up getting 95%. Okay, now the then she applies to the US. She says that, you know, I can't handle SAT or ACT. I'm not writing. Whatever university I get, I will go. So she ended up in University of San Francisco, and there she started. I was very happy because it's next to my brother's. My brother is in the Bay Area, so I was very happy that she's next door. But she somehow felt that you know, she belonged to a different university or a higher ranked university was her goal. So then she studied very hard. 4.0 GPA, Dean's List, research papers. She writes first year, applies for transfer, she doesn't get. Second year studies hard, again 4.0 GPA, and then second year she gets accepted to NYU. There she also was near 4.0 GPA. Again, you know, lot of different activities. Now she's studying. She's graduating this May from Harvard. She went from NYU, then she got into Harvard, and then she's graduating there. So she's told me 10, 15 times, I think, that this is because of sport. I don't shy away from putting in the hard work. She's like any other kid, you know, partying, going out, friends and things like that. Then when it comes to study, she puts in that 10 hours continuous. She's able to put it.
So sports had given her ability to concentrate when she wants.
Absolutely. Discipline, hard work, focus, memory, your sharp, everything improves. And we learn later on in our careers that the importance of hard work and discipline. If I was taught to be more disciplined when I was in growing up, then the chances of me excelling more would be higher for me personally, and I know for many people it's the same thing. We don't realize the importance of that, and that's why, you know, coming to how a child should play sport is all this: teamwork, resilience, accepting loss. You early on in sport, you're exposed to losing. Losing, you
And then
learn
standing up.
exactly that experience of losing and standing up is more than winning and people appreciating you. So it's a huge thing that happens in the minds of the sport, of the child. Like you said, it's a great way to get them off devices, of social media. It's a great tool.
So, what can the role be of an education institute? I mean, you know, you've, you're running an academy, you're running schools, uh, you're part of, a mouthpiece for education community, which is Wiki. So you've interact with a lot of these uh, entrepreneurs, educationists who are running education institutions. So what is the feeling amongst the educationists? It's sports. Is there a space? Is there a mind share for building sports, or they feel that academics is something that has been bestowed upon them as the job for them, and they need to just focus on that, while knowing very well from your own experience, and there are a lot of studies that sports really improves, accelerates a child's academic journey, or for that matter their own personal journeys as well. So what is the feeling when you meet people from the community?
It's very interesting. So there's a set of schools who know this issue. We at Suchitra believe in a harmony between mind, body, and soul. And how do you integrate all three? All of them have to be given good importance for what it is. So schools, in their race to get ahead academically, JEE or some other results and things like that, these things take a backseat. Typically, if you didn't finish the portion in the old traditional sense, let's say, first thing would be cut a sports period, move there, cut an arts period, move there. And as you progress, you know, to some extent it's okay, but a lot of schools remove literally arts and sports and all the other things and go very academically. So that's something which needs to be understood. The national education policy has talked about it very well,
Yeah,
no doubt. But of course, it has to come into
has to be
action on
implemented.
implemented. And the challenge is it's a very difficult thing to implement because our schools are so diverse, right? Even in CBSE itself, you have diversity is very high. Yeah. So this um, we are now in the age of, we have seen the challenges that can be coming from social media devices. Now we have a new dimension on AI coming in. What that can disrupt. So the as a human being, we have to be prepared for all challenges, right? Are we training children to be
Prepared for those
prepared for all
challenges.
challenges?
Yeah.
So you have to give them all-round education. It cannot be just on studies alone. Studies alone won't carry you in your life. Possibly it would have carried 20 years ago or 30 years ago, but if you're not a well-rounded, thinker who can think multidimensionally, and you have good resilience, ability to be creative in your thinking, you understand problems and how do you solve problems. These sort of things need to be incorporated in our education system for sure. Some schools do it, vast majority don't. So that is something which is absolutely necessary for the country.
And do you think this is being felt in certain strata of society, or do you think it's applicable in across the society? Everybody needs to be holistic in their education journey.
Interesting. It's
Because I mean it costs. So I mean, not many people can a firstly have that mindset open that we need to do this, and b be ready to put money for this and go to such institutions. Uh, so, but I mean, will it ever trickle down to the last stream of education of the society?
I'm very optimistic. So I think there is an opportunity with AI to be able to accomplish at least a good amount of what it is.
But that could be around content, but in terms of the holistic approach where you're talking about the social, emotional, mental well-being also while you're looking into academics, you're looking into sports.
See the okay. Let's take one at a time, right? Academics, for you to be a creative thinker, problem solver, and things like that. With AI coming in so much, teachers have to start to think differently. So they might have to come up with concepts like flipped learning. So which has been we've been talking about it
We've
for
been talking
long,
about it, yeah.
but I think this will force
Hmm.
teachers to adopt these. So when you start the flipped learning itself, you're thinking differently. Children are doing, they're researching, they're a lot of the skills are developing. Yeah, I think day before yesterday I was watching a podcast of Ethan Mollick, the Wharton professor of AI. He's one of the big thinkers. He was talking about his conversation with a renowned psychologist. And the psychologist apparently told him that AI does a better job than me in helping children.
Really?
He said that. And of course, in the follow on, somebody asked about medical and things like that. Would you trust, would you do this for this one? He said, I won't, as a medical advice and things like that. But as a second opinion, yes. But the fact that it has come that close itself
So soon?
so soon, that means that there is tremendous opportunity in the next 2 3 years to help children emotionally to a certain extent, for especially with people who don't have access to anything, right? So it's just that imagine a child sitting in a town or a village in interior UP, feeling very stressed. He cannot speak to his parents
In the language.
in the language. So here you can chat with an AI, try to get something. Most often than not, the mental health issues are you have somebody at the right time to speak to, half your problems will be
Have a conversation and get the positive advice.
absolutely. It's something that is quite remarkable, can be achieved for sure. With sports and athletics, no, obviously you need people, you need grounds, you need
Infrastructure.
infrastructure. For them, I think the schools, I believe, are the biggest waste of infrastructure in the country. Right? We run day schools, most of the day schools. We run for 200 days in a year, and rest of the time they're empty. And we only run about 5 6 hours in those 200 days as well. Rest of the time, so many schools out there, grounds are empty. And here we're talking about investment in sports, putting infrastructure, coaches. When you have untapped potential, such a large, vast area, we are not getting there. Some schools do some activities around afterwards, after school and things like that, but nothing concrete. So I think we should open up our school grounds facilities to the community, so at a very reasonable cost. In fact, government of India, there was one secretary, Mr. Radhesham Julania. He was sports secretary about 4 5 years ago. So he came down to meet me in Hyderabad. I don't know him. He just asked his local sports authority guys to fix up a time, and sir wants to meet you. I'm like, okay, please come. He spent 4 hours. And I asked him. He went around and he was very impressed with what we do and everything. After that, I said, sir, you're very impressed. Thank you for it. But do you realize that what I'm doing is not legal? I'm not supposed to be using this for facility for other things. Then he said, and I explained to what I just said about the waste of infrastructure and things like that. In fact, he said that we are working on something called Fit India 3-star, 5-star rating. It will come up, you apply, which explicitly says the 5 stars schools can, rated schools can extend the facility to the community. So that's when we applied, we got it. But unfortunately, the portal has since been down in terms of what we're doing. But having said that, I think that these are some things which are simple, low-hanging fruit that we need to look at. We need to work on it.
No, it is so true. I think you rightly said that the biggest waste of infrastructure, if there is the underutilization of these massive, buildings and grounds and institutions which are not getting utilized by the community. And schooling, by definition, being not for profit, it is, and it is for the community. The community should have access to those gated premises in the right order and right system. I think the government, if comes out with this 3-4 star rating and allow the access to these infrastructure, it will surely bring up us closer to the being the sporting nation that we want to become. And of course add on to the yeah, the economy. And you were mentioning about your child, and I can actually relate. My son is a footballer, so he's keen in that sport. And ever since we've seen him uh, getting engaged in the game, the mental sharpness, the physical fitness, confidence, and ability to grasp subject. One day I was very annoyed, and I asked him, like, kya padhte ho? I don't see you study. So, get me your books. So he got his books, and I said, give me your what you write in the class. He gave me his, that jotter or register, and then I just opened the page. I said, tell me this. And he's like, this. Like, okay, no, let me flip more pages. I said, tell me this. Is it something like this? I'm not sure, but it should be, this. This is the concept. And I closed the book. I looked at my wife. I said, "Isko kya bole? So go and play, because this is clearly helping." And I could really relate to your story, and that's why we never, after that, we never really suppressed or asked him to pull off from the game unless he's not well or there's some exam coming or something. I said, find an opportunity and play, because the kind of new neuron connection that it generates when you're out there making fraction time decisions while you're playing with the ball, and when to kick, when not to, and you just have those fraction, and those neurons are shooting instantly, and you're building that capacity inside your mind, and that shows up in your academics, in your behavior at home and everything, and that discipline that it comes with the sport, and
And
completely.
also, another dimension is you have something for life, right? A skill, sport, something which you will enjoy for the rest of your life. And the, you know, many people, work out, good hitting the gym or running or things
You
like
need
that.
you need an activity to steam out
Exactly.
when you grow
So,
up.
but sport is engaging,
Yeah,
right? For any age.
yeah.
So, if you're used to a sport early on, the chances are you'll carry that sport through your life, and you're having fun doing it. And I know so many people walk, they hate it. They have to. It's just that they're not into any other sport. They don't have a choice. They're walking or running or something else. So the ability to have something to carry through you for the rest of the life is also a great, great opportunity.
No, absolutely, and we see as grown-ups now, doing our own work or enterprises, running our enterprise. There are so many moments in the day when you get cornered by the work pressure, the family, the whole sector ecosystem, and then you need a way out so that you can engage in a sport or in a workout or in a music, so that you can reset your mind back to fight the battle next day. And I sometimes wonder, people who've never picked up a sport, they must be feeling claustrophobic inside, that they're not able to vent it out and then settle the dust and then restart again. They just carry that baggage with them. And I think that is what holistic education on the paper is what been promoting, but on the ground, we don't see that in reality. But your experience says that we see some of these seeds being sowed, and even the government quarters are thinking about it, which will actually help students become better in their academics.
In fact, Kelo India, they give you more points if you have your center within the school.
Oh.
Obviously, because children can study here and there, so it's a great advantage.
So, but is it difficult to advocate within the government quarters what you want, the kind of changes, kind of innovations you want to bring in? I mean, as part of being Arise, and you yourself have been pushing the envelope, asking the government to, up their game. Is it easy?
Um, Anything to work with. See, the one good thing about working with the government is the system around it tends to be bureaucratic. There's so many people out there in the government who understand, who really resonate with what you're saying. It's just that the way of doing things is a lengthy process in terms of how we're doing it, and more often than not, uh, it's best to take it to the government officials with solutions rather than problems. So they're also looking at solutions.
But just throwing problems at them is not going to help.
Not going to help. You come, say
And
that
that's what you've learned also.
yes, you have to learn, you have to give them a solution.
So
Why
this is
this
what I
will
think
work.
can be done.
Exactly. And why it works. Right? It has to balance everything. So the governments look at balancing public opinion. There's so many things around that.
Yeah, because
For
they
each
have
of those
obligation.
things, exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, the government of India did work on a sports education board, but I think, I don't recollect. I was not part of that. I know a couple of people who were part of that committee to put that across. I think there's a necessity to come up with a sports education board, where if you are playing at the national level and things like that, you have a subset of the syllabus or whatever, which is trimmed down to make it a lot easier for students. You have the NIOs, but NIOs academically is equally challenging as a CBSE. Of course, the only flexibility is you can set your exams whenever you want. But yeah.
But tell me, in Suchitra Academy, you've had a massive uh, introduction of teacher training. Uh, what is the state of the academicians that are coming out? Is B.Ed program really helpful, or is this just a statutory requirement? Do you think it needs an overhaul, or do you think you don't need a B.Ed, you need a far more engaging, more advanced training and ongoing training, uh, sort of a system in this country to teach the children of today and tomorrow?
B.Ed, vast majority of the B.Ed students who come as teachers are not good enough, at least to teach in our kind of schools. They're not good enough. I think for any school, lot of kids coming out from the institutions are not good. So definitely there is a need to overall that as a B.Ed offering itself, and how much of it is practical versus just the 4 year. This one also needs to be relooked at, and also you should allow centers of excellence to come up to certain certifications also can come up and teach. So we have a requirement of B.Ed, and more often than not, we see so many non-B.Ed teachers who are much better than the B.Ed teachers. I think that actually should be left to the schools to a certain extent, with some level of certification. And I think possibly this I'm just thinking aloud. Just now, I you can have a school rating system, and if schools are a 4 or 5 star rated, let's say in CBSE in different parameters, then you should leave that judgment on whether it's a B.Ed, non-B.Ed to the school. So to meet CBSE norms, we kind of tend to hire more of B.Eds to be but of course we have a student teacher ratio of 1:10, which is double of number of teachers what CBSE requires. So we can afford to have non-B.Ed teachers as well, as the assistant teachers and other things. So of course they do enroll and try to get a B.Ed to do it, but that system needs it.
A change and overall. But do you think that apart from only delivering academic curriculum in the schools, what is the role of experiential learning, getting life skills into the students? Uh, I know for a fact that your academy has done a significant amount of work there. So how do you find time and integrates these critical elements in your curriculum? Because I know for a fact that going forward our kids, if they are given academics but they are also given life skills, they live a much more balanced life going forward and don't feel threatened by changing infrastructures and job orientations.
So in terms of you know we are a project based learning school. We've been since about 6 or 7 years. We've been grade 1 to grade 7. About 30 to 40% of our academic delivery happens through projects. So you're learning different concepts around, and we pick up projects also which are issues around where you are. You're reading about them in the newspaper or things like that, so that they're very current in what they're doing. Our education system tends to be very abstract. What you're learning is something somewhere. It's not me, right? It's like the same thing if you are looking at a square or a cuboid in on paper versus you're looking actually what it is, and then you can relate that to they see other objects somewhere, right? It's a very rudimentary example. So I think learning by doing, inquiry based learning, project based learning, these are the things they're more relevant, more important now than they have ever been before, especially in this changing world. And the other element which you talked about, specifically on the mental health, socio emotional learning, this is very significant. So we are quite a lot, quite deep into SEL, and also with the well-being of not only our students but our teachers as well. So I'll give you, what happened during the COVID, right? Teachers are amongst the probably the most stressed job function, or amongst the most stressed job function, because they had to do online teaching,
And suddenly,
and suddenly the children are doing online teaching, husband is working online, they have to take care of all of them. Typical Indian housewife tends to be, obviously takes care of the home, the chores. Then in many cases the in-laws are there or parents are there taking care of them, and then delivering. So if you see, the function of other jobs during COVID was not time bound, except for your meeting calls. Everything I could finish it little later on in the night, or morning, early morning. You could space it out.
but this has to be on the dot.
directly, right?
Hmm.
For it's time from here to here.
Yeah.
As a result, we had recognized that this is a big challenge what the teachers are going through. So we hired a company from Bangalore and we provided a 24 by 7 helpline trained psychologists on call. We during the pandemic also we never retrenched anybody. So including Aya's drivers were all full time. We gave access to them as well. So in Telugu, Hindi, whatever language they are, that was also allowed, and so was the teachers. And the organization which was doing it were quite surprised themselves that the number of calls from our organization as teachers was far higher than they do for so many corporates they do.
Okay.
And that was what it was. So obviously, due to privacy, they don't give you all details. They give you how many times they're calling, one call, two calls, three calls, seriousness of the calls. There's a lot of metric around that. I mean, I was quite shocked with what it's happening. So I thought, that teachers also have to be mentally healthy to be able to, exude that into the children. Even today, we continue that as a, this helpline. We have regular sessions. So for children, the ultimately, like I said before, the ability to manage yourself is much more today because of the pressures of social media and things that are happening today than ever before. And we don't spend enough time on managing ourselves, the ability to manage ourselves. So we have a whole socio, emotional curriculum, and we also have silence time which we introduced. So up to now, 3 minutes, all children need to meditate, close their eyes, just thinking.
Just cut the noise out.
Cut the noise
just
out.
be with yourself.
Everything is silent around, and then they're closing their eyes, and somewhere that reflections we're doing it on a day to day, because children it becomes difficult to tell them you meditate, you do this, you do that. It's difficult. Just close your eyes, think about yourself, and all the good things, and that itself puts children in a one calming position, somewhere reflecting on he himself or herself. So that is something which we do. And another critical area which is also related to, it's about connections, and there's a concept called non-violent communication. And many a times what I say to you is not what you have understood.
There's a gap between what is said and what is meant.
Exactly. And if it is normal conversation, it's fine. But if somebody gets hurt, they may not even express it back, but there has been a disconnect already. And if you don't have, you have that, the sentences you use because you just picked up from somewhere without realizing, you are distancing your relationships. And this non-violent communication is a process where you learn to communicate, learn to empathize with the other, understand, listen, then make statements which are non-judgmental, offensive statements. So that really is a life skill, which if children can master it, they can very easily. All your relationships will get much better. Going professional, family, spouses, all these things can be a lot. So last 2 years we've spent on training teachers. So the next 1 year we will take it to the classroom. So that this is another very important thing that we do.
And as part of your role and the community that you're part of, you travel abroad, you see many other schooling systems, with sports, without sports. So what are some of those things that you've picked up from our international counterparts that you have implemented here in your own education institute? and in your life as a leader in education?
So it's very interesting. More than anything, a lot of these visits are also validating certain things that you are doing, right? So as you know, we're Arise, we're about 1600 schools spread over 20 odd states, and we take large delegations abroad. So we go, like London, our highest has been 85 or something like that. And what I'm also told is that when we were part of FICCI, now we are independent as Arise, but when we were part of FICCI also, we are the largest delegations that repeatedly goes to all these countries
Explore and
amongst the 70 odd sectors that FICCI operates in.
wow.
So our what happens is the more I learn when you see what is happening. We go to high performing schools, government schools, different sorts of schools. So there's certain things that you learn. There's certain things you validate it right and then and there. So somebody in the group would have tried it. You're just talking about it. Then he said, "Arey, this thing I tried it like this, but it didn't work like this." Then you understand what they're doing, what they have done here, and that process of going through that, then you feel you can probably do it differently or you drop it. So that learning curve is where that has been the biggest beneficiary. So before Arise, I would travel around the world looking at schools. It was largely infra, and not the dialogue never happened with the schools. When we go to the schools,
You just see the place, see the city.
exactly, you take pictures and something is nice. This pin-up boards are nice, or it's
Right.
very superficial.
Very superficial, but now the deeper
Now
interaction.
when we go to the delegations from the past 2 or 3 years, what we are telling them is, what are the top 3 USPs of your school? Can you do a presentation on how you implement these in your classroom? And just a beautiful way to, of course, we do the infrastructure, everything
So
as
they
well.
just filter out the best.
Exactly,
And
and
that you
how it's
carry.
delivered.
And how
So
it's
every
delivered.
school has a USP of how they deliver the curriculum. So there's been several schools we visited, and I can tell you one thing. Some of these schools may have better infrastructure, but what happens in the classroom, some of our schools are up there with them. I mean, you're no longer they're up there, we are here. That kind of a situation is not there. We are up there,
We're up there.
and the ability to give that kind of education at this price point
That
is a marvel. I mean, it's something
amazing.
which we hardly spend.
We should be proud of.
Yeah, we should be proud of. I mean, you're talking about 40,000 pound school versus a 2-3 lakh rupee school. There's a huge difference, right? So the only difference, the fundamental difference, is quality of teachers. Is they pay a lot more, ability to pay a lot more, and that's why I feel that we should get to that old, let's say, a generation back. Even when I was growing up, I'd go to my village. People would, teacher comes, everybody standing up, or namaskar. That was the samskar that we had at that point. Today, a teacher walks into the room, you're probably thinking that maybe she didn't get a job anywhere. This is teaching. That's the mindset. We have dropped from that to this in less than a generation, right? So I think the salaries of teachers also in the top end schools have gone up. Is very good as a profession, but I think as a whole base, we should move up the chain. I know it. To do that, education can get more costly in terms of the school fees itself, but there is no excuse. That's not the excuse. We need high quality teachers. Why is Finland number one in the world? Why is Singapore number one in the world? Top 5% of the graduating class choose teaching in Finland. Top 25% of the graduating class choose teaching in Singapore. And can you imagine a top 5% or a top 25% of a passing grade in India choosing education? even though you may have 100 times more passionate teachers in India, the number itself.
Why is it that why people not the top 10%, 25% of every institution, school choosing teaching as a career? I mean, if the brightest of the brightest come into teaching, it will, flip this. I mean, the brightest of the brightest gone to US and they've all become the CEOs of, companies, global companies outside India. Imagine if the brightest come and start being part of the education ecosystem, start teaching, start running education communities. Uh, this is gonna be the moment that we are waiting for, probably.
And we can draw a parallel to the sport. I was talking to you about coaches, how they're paid now versus what they were paid. Similar thing is happening, but it's happening in the only the high-end schools. The salaries are increasing at that rate. And today, IB school teachers are very expensive to hire. They will probably get 2 times, 3 times an engineer from a good institution today.
Yeah.
And I wish that happens across. And by the the price to that will be school fees increase. But in terms of nation building, if we have to build to the next level, I think we need that to happen.
So you feel that 10 years down the line we will see better, talented, more overall personality driven individuals choosing education as a vocation going forward, or do you feel that there is still a lot of work has to be done, for us to experience that kind of acceptance of education as a career?
I see a lot of green shoots already, and I see a lot of people who are working in Deloitte, Bank of America, Accenture have come back, and what they talk about is that I always wanted to teach, but it was not remunerative. Now it's comfortable.
Hmm.
I would want to come and teach. So people with passion coming in, automatically things will improve. That's why I see 10 years is a great time. I think we will. I am very, very positive. As I said, I'm an optimist. Quite positive.
So what's your vision of future when you keep education and sports, the harmony between them? Imagine if you were not running, Suchitra Academy, you were the sports minister. So what would be the couple of things you will do? Right from picking up a call on education minister. Let's just chat and let's do that. So what could that be?
I think the second thing what you said, the chat with the education minister is a great. I'm sure they may be talking, but
Yeah.
the points they should be talking may be different from what I think. The sports, as I said first, the infrastructure hurdle should be encouraged explicitly, and schools also shy away from it because they hardly make any money out of it. Then teachers are going away. If
And
something,
then
some
wear and
liability
tear,
happens in there, you are
liability.
responsible.
Very responsible.
All those shackles should be removed. You
Yeah.
cannot have in which business that when you're doing, if you're negligent, I agree. If you're not negligent, it's a pure accident. You cannot be character assassinated in front of so many people. So that's why I know many people don't want to start schools
Don't
because
even.
don't even want to do that. So I think that needs to be addressed for sure, about first infrastructure freeing up. Along with that, we need to ensure that the safety of the trustee or the promoter also needs to be taken care. You do a full investigation and then take action. So these sort of things that need to come. They also need to come in today's school itself has that risk. So that also needs to come in.
Absolutely. So, if there was a message that you would like to give to students and parents and people who are running education institute, what could your advice be for them? For all these three key stakeholders of our ecosystem: students, parents, and education institute leaders.
So I think I would want parents and schools also look at the overall development of a child for sure. And the we are a multidimensional being, so we need the nurturing of the senses, the spirit, the development of the body, and the growth of the mind. Everything have to be in harmony. So I think schools need to understand, are we doing enough for the harmony of all the aspects of the child. Parents also need to think, and the we know when we get into careers, it's not the marks nobody asks in an interview, right? I've never asked how much marks you got in an interview,
True.
right? So the running after marks is not the right thing to do. But development of other skills, I look at it as an interview, right?
Those now.
If you're an entrepreneur, when you're presenting to the investor will look at, do you have the clarity of communicating your business in 2 sentences, right? Then I understand how much of the business you are in. Then you're in a sales call. The guy who can talk very well will go ahead. Not only sales call, in
Any.
businesses itself, we've seen the guy
Yeah.
who communicate very well go
Articulate your
up.
thoughts to
Exactly.
the external body.
And then in life, children are exposed to so many things which are um, devastating things, tough times, happy times. So you should build some resilience around that, to how to handle yourself in when you're faced with adversity. That's another thing. Can we do something to create situations where we are, you know that can be tested? Sport is a great place. Sport, there's nobody in the world who says that I've always won.
Yeah.
You're losing so early, so much, that thing goes on. Then the parents need to coach the children, that losing, you give examples. I used to, um, in my daughter's room view, I would have one poster from Michael Jordan. It says, I missed so many thousands of shots. In clutch time, I did this. I missed so many times, this, that, and things like that, right? So the greatest of the great have had adversity. Michael Jordan was kicked out of the high school team. So these are some things which you have to motivate the children, that it's okay to lose. So the sport is a very
Really
easy
teaches
place
you.
to put in position of adversity and learnings from that adversity.
Right.
So I think these are some of the things that, if schools and also parents first understand, comprehend, and then make sure that the child is receiving the right training, is something is important.
No, this is an excellent and very valuable advice, and thank you for all the stories that you share and your experiences. I'm sure our audience will resonate with it and try to bring in this holistic change in their life, and not keep their children away from sports and their physical development, because that directly adds to what they can be mentally and socially out being there. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Akash. It's been wonderful, as always, speaking with you.
Thank you.